Part 46. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kisiun Jeon. Chapter 451. Mountain City, a long-distance freight company. The container truck drove into the compound and parked in a dedicated open-air parking space. The driver left as if nothing was wrong. After about a few minutes, the container door opened from the inside and the ramp was lowered. 4 armed men got out of the car with Chuplina. The car will remain in the container forever. This method of deceiving surveillance and investigation has been tried repeatedly in the past. 5 people entered the trucking company building. In about 50 minutes, all 5 people changed their clothes. Chuplina disappeared, becoming a middle-aged man. The 4 armed men also turned into ordinary strong men. If it weren't for the 4 of them carrying heavy duffel bags, you wouldn't even know they had just attacked a police car in full force. Walking out of the yard, the 5 people got into a commercial vehicle, driving away from the freight company and entering the center of Shancheng City. On the road 200 meters away, sitting in the business car, Lin Xian held his mobile phone and looked at the surveillance screen fed back by the drone above. Next to him sat a middle-aged man, director of the 8th National Security Bureau, He Shanglong. This is not the first time the two have collaborated. In the last virus incident, Lin Xian even made a joke with the other party. He Shanglong said, "Nice to meet you." He replied, "You are happy too early. This director of the 8th Bureau can't even deal with it. Didn't find it?" Lin Xian put down his phone. "No." He Shanglong sighed, "If the leader of the Cossack mercenary group is really hiding in the Dragon Kingdom, and this incident is over, I should retire." Retirement is actually a decent thing to say, but under normal circumstances it is dereliction of duty. Just think about it. The leader of one of the world's top mercenary groups is hiding in the Dragon Kingdom, but your country's national security didn't discover it. What's the use of keeping you here? Isn't this dereliction of duty? But the most real situation. Mercenaries do like to play this way. The headquarters of many mercenary companies are hidden in cities in various countries. Some mercenary leaders are hiding in some prosperous cities. There are also some mercenaries who only come together when training, having missions, or fighting. Usually they are likely to be unemployed, white-collar workers, house husbands, just like ordinary people. You had no idea they were mercenaries. It's like you have some brothers who laugh and laugh on weekdays. You also think these brothers might be big fools. It turns out that behind the scenes, people are doing a business of killing people and getting goods. The day you offend him, your head may fall off. The ancestors have told you, you know people, they know faces, but you don't know hearts. If the reasoning is true, Lin Xian is puzzled. How did an old foreign man hide in the Dragon Kingdom? Chuplina is over 60, not a child. Or the European race, the white race. National security will pay special attention to people of color living in the Dragon Kingdom. It would be quite terrifying to be able to deceive Kuowen. But think about it, the other party is the leader of the world's top mercenary group after all. How is it possible without any ability? It seems very reasonable. Kuplina is fishing, He Shanglong frowned. It started out as some murderer fishing, but Chuplina found him. Lin Xian nodded, now Chuplina is also using his double to fish in order to catch this murderer. But the murderer was too smart to be fooled and threw the bait to us. Let's go find Chuplina, he's good, take advantage of it. This is the entire process of this incident. All 3 parties are acting out, and all 3 parties are also competing in a battle of wits and courage. But the most powerful one is this murderer, Zhao Qiang. His greatest strength is all kinds of calculations and layouts, and he knows how to take advantage of situations. It is also clear that one person cannot defeat the entire Cossack mercenary group. drag the opponent into the Dragon Kingdom chassis and use the power of the state machine to attack the Cossack mercenary group. It worked. With such intelligence and means, coupled with his own ability, he is stronger than a soldier. It can only be described as terrifying. But no matter how terrifying he is, he has already exposed his weaknesses. His sister, Zhao Binli. As long as this weakness is taken advantage of, the outcome waiting for him is actually destined. Why do you say that? The reason is simple. When the real Chuplina knew Zhao Qiang's identity, he realized Zhao Qiang's purpose. As long as Zhao Binli is still alive, just control her. Zhao Qiang is finished. Lin Xian can think of this, and Zhao Qiang can also think of it. That's why he never showed up. Even if he shows up, he will wear a hood. He is just worried that others will take advantage of this and take advantage of him. Fortunately, now only the Dragon Kingdom has guessed that he is Zhao Qiang. Too smart, so smart that it's a bit scary. Lin Xian murmured, "Is there anything else you can't think of?" Fine. Strictly speaking, Zhao Qiang is neither an enemy nor a rival. Otherwise, even if he is a loser, you may not be able to defeat him. This is no joke. Lin Xian's skill tree is all about force, which is too scientific. His brain may not be able to outplay Zhao Qiang without using state power. What if Zhao Qiang didn't confront him head-on, but attacked behind his back? How do you break the situation with your relatives and friends? Maybe then Lin Xian will have no choice but to abandon martial ethics and use state power. Crush him to death. And now, there is an old fox watching from the side. Is Chupulina an idiot? Not at all. So is it possible that Chupulina has guessed something? His son died, so he should have thought that someone was trying to lure him out. One body double died, and the second body double was used to fish. He can probably guess Zhao Qiang's purpose. Is he looking for something in him? It's like a person has made a mistake, and when the police appear in front of you, your mind will uncontrollably recall the mistakes you made. You will wonder if the police came to your door because of these mistakes. How could Chupulina not know what he had done before? Why did others target him, come to his door, and attack his son? And his son died, and more than a dozen friends died. What did his son and these friends do, can he guess? When he sorted out the mistakes he had made, did the answer come out? Lin Xian often said, "What you can think of, others can think of as well. Never treat others as fools." The target entered the underground parking lot of a building. He Shanglong suddenly spoke. "It's a trap." Lin Xian rubbed his eyebrows. Chupulina is luring the murderer to appear. He should have set up a trap in the building. But the killer will not appear. I have to go. This is the strength of Zhao Qiang. You know that he is using the power of Longguo, but you still have to take action. Because Longguo does not allow Cossack mercenaries to jump around like fleas in the country. Find one and step on one. This is an unsolvable problem. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kisiun Zhong. Chapter 452. Lin Xian walked in the deep underground parking lot. Every step echoed with a hollow echo. It becomes clearer in silence. At this time, his face was disguised and became ordinary. This was done because the Cossack mercenaries were supposed to know his face. I still remember that Chuplina's stand-in once said, "Monster from the Dragon Kingdom." It shows that his face is no stranger to Cossack mercenaries. If these mercenaries find out that he is coming, he probably wouldn't dare show up. Because that's not showing up, it's coming to die. Lin Xian's figure was blurred in the dim light, and he walked towards the elevator. When you come to the elevator, press the up button and wait for the elevator. He could sense that there was a side peering at him. Surveillance in the parking lot. Lin Xian didn't pay attention and walked into the elevator that opened the door. Supervision stays on the keypad. Observed carefully. The fresh fingerprint left at the end of the key was confirmed. Clicked on the 11th floor button. Once again, I felt the prying eyes of the surveillance camera in the elevator. The elevator goes up. From the underground to the first floor, second floor, third floor. When the elevator reaches the 10th floor. Suddenly, something happened. The elevator stopped, the elevator lights went out, and all the buttons failed. Is this a show-off? Lin Xian chuckled. Suddenly, an old voice sounded over the elevator intercom, "Why did you kill my child?" Chuplina. Lin Xian's mind turned and he asked with a smile, "Are you so sure it was me who killed you? Who else could it be but you?" The other party's voice may be a little hoarse, but every word is full of coldness. "Why are you looking for me? Your son is dead, but you seem to be very calm." Lin Xian was curious, "Don't you feel bad? I have many descendants, 2 of whom have died." The other party's tone was still indifferent, "Although Boris is my favorite son, he is dead after death, and is not as important as the living." So cruel. Lin Xian's expression changed slightly. What qualities should a hero have? That's right, the superiors are used to life and death. For example, in ancient times, emperors chopped their own sons like vegetables. Without such a ruthless heart, would you be able to sit in that seat? Give you one last chance. The other party's voice was cold, "Who are you and why are you looking for me? Okay, stop pretending, do I need you to give me a chance?" Lin Xian didn't answer the question and smiled, "Have you found a seat?" Locked. Zhang Shiyang's words reached Lin Xian's ears through wireless earphones. He is not in the building, nor in the mountain city. The signal comes from the twin cities of Dragon Kingdom. Lin Xian was stunned. If Dragon Kingdom can hide foreigners well, and they are of European race, that can only be the twin cities in the northeast. It only takes 5 minutes by boat to reach Daimao country. There are many Daimao people living in the city. Is Chuplina hiding here? Lose the city, Lin Xian ordered. Yes. This time it was not Zhang Shiyang's voice, but the voice of He Shanglong from the 8th National Security Bureau. An emergency lockdown only takes about 20 minutes to completely lock down the entire city. Now that Chuplina is in the Twin Cities, don't leave. Who are you? There was a hint of coldness in the other party's words. What do you think? Lin Xian couldn't help laughing. The other party didn't speak. Boom. There was a slight explosion above the elevator. The steel cable broke and the elevator fell rapidly. We are on the 10th floor right in front of us. If we hit the basement. However, when the explosion occurred, Lin Xian rose into the sky. The safety window on the elevator roof opened with a bang, and he appeared in the elevator shaft. The soles of his feet stepped on the roof of the rapidly descending elevator and ejected away. He grabbed the elevator door on the 10th floor and opened the elevator door with one hand. Jump into the 10th floor corridor. Boom. There was a roar in the elevator shaft. The whole building shook. Lin Xian remained expressionless as he continued to order, "Clear the mercenaries in the building. Clear." Taiko Gaoyang's words sounded in the headphones. Lin Xian didn't want to waste time on some trash fish. He's now headed to the Twin Cities. And, there is another conjecture. The murderer was Zhao Qiang. Already know where Chuplina is hiding. Isn't it amazing? How could he know? Lin Xian didn't know either. But compare it to someone with such a high IQ that he looks like a monster. You can't even guess what other methods he has. Lin Xian could think of it because only treacherous people understand treacherous people best. Lin Xian walked out of the building. I'm going to tuck you in now and let you play me again. 5 hours later. A helicopter lands in the Twin Cities. In February, the city is covered with a thin layer of snow, like a quiet ink painting. Lin Xian stepped off the helicopter wearing a windbreaker and looked around. In the fierce wind and snowflakes, I walked into a commercial vehicle. Go straight to Wudalanka district. There is an area of boutique villas and holiday villas. Zhan Xiaoyang used technology to intercept the signal source in the elevator, which came from here. It means that Chuplina is very likely to be hiding here. No, not possible. When Lin Xian arrived at the outskirts of the villa area, a smile appeared on his face. He sensed the warrior aura. Different from normal soldiers. The smell of these soldiers is bloody and cruel. They are a group that kills all year round, the purest killing weapon. Don't you need to dispatch some special forces? Sitting aside, He Shanglong reminded Lin Xian. No time to wait. Lin Xian shook his head. I'm worried that some accidents will happen. In fact, he wanted to be reckless. I don't want any of my own people to be injured or killed. If his inference is correct, Zhao Qiang should be here. He has a terrifying IQ and the strength of a soldier. Too strong and too monster. Ordinary soldiers would die if they met him. Lin Xian felt that it would take at least 10 soldiers to kill Zhao Qiang. Outside the villa area, countless heavily armed special forces have already surrounded the villa area. This is a whole special brigade, and the commander is a colonel. After Lin Xian got out of the car, the two saluted and shook hands. Is what I want ready? Lin Xian looked at each other with a smile. The colonel waved his hand. A military suitcase was carried to Lin Xian by the special forces. After opening it, there are special military uniforms and various weapons. Lin Xian took off his clothes in the cold wind in front of everyone. Put on special clothing and put on a tactical vest. Pistols, micro-rams, magazines, blast bombs, fighting knives. After changing clothes, Lin Xian's temperament changed. Like a cheetah in the dark night, it exudes a heart-stopping sense of oppression, filled with a chilling air, quiet and dangerous. Sudden. Boom. There was an explosion in the villa area. Followed by. The gunfire exploded, dense and violent. You are indeed here. Lin Xian looked at the explosion site and sneered. Are you afraid that I will steal your head? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kisiun. Chapter 453. The sound of gunfire in the villa area came one after another. Every corner was filled with tension and fear, making people hold their breath involuntarily. A figure suddenly rushed out, entered a villa, and fell to the ground in a breath. Countless bullets flew over his head, and some bullets even predicted his evasive direction. The moment the figure landed, his thighs stretched out and bounced like a spring. Not advancing but retreating. When the person who opened fire thought he was going to escape, the muzzle predicted the direction of his escape. In an instant, this figure rushed again like a black panther. Avoided all the bullets without any damage. Almost in an instant, rushed into the villa. Directly passed by an armed man. Whether it was the figure rushing over or the armed man, they were like two beasts. Their reaction speed was so fast. Raised their hands at the same time, two knife lights appeared. One person held the knife in a forward grip and the other held it in a reverse grip. Click. A sharp knife and a combat knife collided with each other. At the same time, the pistol in one person's hand and the submachine gun in another person's hand roared at the same time. Bang bang bang. Da-da-da. The pistol bullets hit the armed personnel's eyes and forehead. The submachine gun bullets hit the intruder's chest and shattered the bulletproof vest. The two fell together. But the intruder jumped up again and dodged. 222 Tuesday. Dense bullets flew past. In the air, the intruder fired. Bang, 4 shots in 1 second. The two figures in the villa hall had already dodged. However, the intruder accurately predicted their dodging positions. 2 bullets pierced their foreheads. The prediction that ordinary people could not understand made the 2 people who were shot show unbelievable expressions on their faces before they died. The intruder did not stop and dodged quickly. Da-da-da. The violent storm of bullets attacked. The intruder hugged himself into a ball. He used his arms and legs to block in front of him, like a shield. When the bullet hit his arms and legs, sparks flew and the cloth shattered. It can be seen that the intruder's arms and legs were tied with bulletproof plates. Even so, his arms and legs were almost broken by the violent kinetic energy. The intruder seemed to be unable to feel the pain. His body had already rolled back and his limbs were spread out. Bang! 2 pistols appeared in his hands, and both guns fired at the same time. 7 shots per second. 3 attackers were shot and killed while dodging. They also predicted their dodging direction and hit accurately. And the person who broke into the villa also fell to the ground, panting. Even with a bulletproof vest, he had several broken ribs. The severe pain in his arms and legs also told him that he was seriously injured. Many people who have been deceived by movies and TV dramas think that bulletproof vests and bulletproof shields are great. They think that they will be fine if they can block bullets. But they don't know that even with these protective gear, the human body cannot withstand a few bullets. It's like someone swinging a sledgehammer and smashing it on your body. The kinetic energy and shock alone can shatter human muscles and bones. 6 combat soldiers. Slowly getting up, the intruder's eyes flashed with crazy luster. No matter how powerful the mercenaries are, they are just some minority armed forces. Can you be stronger than the country? How many combat soldiers does a country have? A top mercenary group has 10 combat soldiers, which is already against the sky. Now 6 are dead, how many more do they have? The intruder looked at a place where there was the entrance to the basement. Enduring the severe pain in his body, he walked over. Suddenly, 2 grenades flew out of the entrance. The grip on the grenade bounced in the air. It will explode in 3-4 seconds. The intruder sneered and retreated. 1 second. He had retreated to the sofa in the hall. 2 seconds. He had squatted down and grabbed the sofa. 3 seconds. The sofa turned over and pinned him down. Boom. The grenade exploded, and fragments flew. The horrible impact shook everything around in the hall. The strong shock wave generated by the explosion spread instantly, throwing the surrounding objects and debris into the sky. The moment after the explosion, 2 figures rushed out of the basement. When they rushed out, a pistol also stretched out from under the sofa. Bang, 4 shots in 1 second. The 2 combat-level mercenaries couldn't even react, the bullets shot them in the head. Killed alive. 8. The sofa flipped open, and the intruder stood up. Blood flowed from the corners of his eyes and ears. This was caused by the shock wave of the grenade. The most murders on the battlefield are shock waves. Even many people who died from grenades and artillery shells seemed to be uninjured on the outside. In fact, his internal organs and some body organs had been shattered by the shock wave. I am still not as good as that, God. He reached out to wipe the blood from the corner of his eyes, and he laughed at himself, facing these soldiers, you can't even hurt them, right? If Lin Xian could hear what he said, he would probably laugh. Sure enough, only monsters understand monsters. The intruder walked towards the basement again. In his calculation, no matter how strong the Cossack mercenary group is, it cannot be stronger than a country. The other side probably doesn't have many soldiers left. So, when the intruder burst into the basement, he quickly rolled up. The moment he was about to escape, he was stunned. Or rather, there was confusion, unwillingness, and despair in his eyes. How is it possible, The intruder was stunned and looked ahead. In front of him, there was only a 100-inch monitor. In the picture on the monitor, an old man is sitting on a chair. His eyes were looking at the intruder, deep and calm. Like a silent lake, calm and calm. As he sat there quietly, he looked like a stone statue that had gone through wind and rain. Silent and majestic, no one dares to disturb him easily. A trap. The intruder murmured, "So you deceived everyone, and you also deceived me, making us mistakenly think that you were in the Twin Cities, hiding in this villa area, and luring us all here, is that right?" "Yes." The old man in the monitor looked at him indifferently. "Many people in this world want to kill me, but I have lived to be over 60 years old. Maybe you are very smart. But the experience of you young people is a bit inferior after all. I will live longer, and you will die in front of me. It's like crushing a reptile." He he. The intruder laughed. "Maybe I will die, but there is someone who will not die, who will definitely find you, am I right?" The expression of the old man on the monitor changed. That calm and indifferent expression showed solemnity. Because at this time a figure was slowly walking down. There was a half smile on his handsome face, looking at the old man on the monitor. "I'm very honest. If I say I want to chop off your head, I will. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet." Author, Kisiun. Chapter 454. The old man was silent, and there seemed to be some helplessness in his eyes. Staring at the handsome, even perfect young man. Because he knew who the other party was. An existence so terrifying that it gave nightmares to many countries. If Longwo is a terrifying giant, then the handsome young man in front of him is the knife in the giant's hand. The sword of Longwo. I have never thought of being an enemy of Longwo. I also know that I am not worthy. I know that I am just an ant in front of the giant of Longwo. The old man sighed. "Can't you really let me go? I have given you a chance." Lin Xian looked at the old man. "It's you who don't cherish it." When he found out that the Cossack mercenaries entered the country, he made a phone call. Yu Laonian gave him a chance because the old man lost his son. Lin Xian also warned him that there would be no next time. Otherwise, he would chop off his head. But the other party didn't listen, and let the Cossack mercenaries appear in Longwo. Since he didn't listen, who would die if you didn't die? What's more? Lin Xian turned his head and looked at the intruder, looking at the mask on his face. What's the point of continuing to wear a mask? Ha ha. The other party laughed and reached out to take off the mask. A young face that looked like a college student appeared in front of Lin Xian. Very handsome, but without any characteristics. Compared with Lin Xian's handsome face, it was also several levels worse. But he had a pair of eyes like the stars in the night sky. Deep and wise, calm and sharp, as if he could see through everything. Zhao Qiang. When the old man saw Zhao Qiang, he was stunned for a moment. Feeling familiar, he suddenly thought of something. His face became complicated and incomprehensible. In an instant, a terrifying murderous intent flashed. In fact, he had some guesses a long time ago. And now, Chu Pulina finally confirmed these guesses. Knowing why this person killed his child. And knowing why he came to find him. Because there are many women in a certain underground palace. Among them, there was a beautiful woman who had a face similar to the young man in front of him. At least 70% similar. I never thought you could do this. Chu Pulina's expression showed a morbid and hideous expression. It's a pity that you will still die, and I will send that woman down to accompany you. Zhao Qiang's expression also became hideous. Like a fierce ghost, he stared at the old man on the monitor. Lin Xian watched the scene calmly, and finally confirmed his guess. Zhao Qiang was indeed for his sister Zhao Binglei. And Zhao Binglei's disappearance was related to Chu Pulina. Old beast, I didn't realize that you are old but not old at heart. Lin Xian looked at the monitor and smiled coldly. Another reason to kill you. Kill me. Chu Pulina laughed. I was considering letting you go because I don't want to offend Longguo, but now it seems. Don't look at it. Lin Xian sneered. Do you think I didn't guess that you placed a bomb in the villa? Or do you think I didn't know that you deliberately led us here? If I tell you that I didn't come here for you this time. Lin Xian raised his hand and pointed at Zhao Qiang beside him, but for him, I don't want to see him die. What do you think? He did find the bomb. He had sensed it since entering the villa. He then used his super sense of danger to find the location of the bomb. The bomb was already defused when Zhao Qiang was fighting with the soldiers. Chu Pulina's face changed drastically. He raised his hand, holding a remote detonator in his hand. He pressed it. Sure enough, nothing happened. Lin Xian looked at him with such a mocking expression. What an old man who will not give up until he reaches the Yellow River. Chu Pulina's face suddenly turned pale, as if he thought of something terrifying. Did you think of it? Unfortunately, it's too late. I have found you. Lin Xian poured a basin of cold water on him mercilessly. The mountain city has been blocked. How did you find it? The internet. Chu Pulina believed that anyone who entered the villa should die. As long as the bomb in the villa exploded, all clues would be wiped out. But this old guy didn't calculate it. The bomb was dismantled. He didn't expect it. The monitor he was using now and the network he was connected to had already betrayed him. Lin Xian asked Zhang Xiaoyang to connect to the network along the monitor and lock his location again. You see, it's that simple. Chu Pulina's face turned pale. How could you possibly? Maybe I can't play tricks as well as you. Lin Xian pointed at the old man on the monitor, and then pointed at Zhao Qiang, but I'm not laughing at you for simply playing criminal investigation. You two are rubbish in front of me. Zhao Qiang was also stunned, but soon, he laughed at himself. Yes, there are kings in every field. Maybe he is good at calculation, layout, and calculating people. But in the field of criminal investigation, he is a younger brother. The same reason. Chu Pulina is older, more experienced, and very good at conspiracy. He is proficient in all kinds of intrigue. But no matter how good he is, in the field of criminal investigation, he is still a younger brother. Lin Xian is the king of this field when it comes to fighting wits and courage with bad guys. Even if the two of them are tied together. As long as they are dragged into the criminal investigation field by Lin Xian, they can be pinned to the ground and rubbed. How simple is this principle? Why save me? Zhao Qiang looked at Lin Xian with a complicated expression. Let me ask you a question first. Lin Xian stared into his eyes. Except for the mercenaries, should the 13 people you killed die? Zhao Qiang was a little puzzled. I'm not a psychopath, and I don't have a hobby of killing innocent people. Haha. Lin Xian laughed. That's good. Then he turned his head. Looking at Chu Pulina on the monitor, I'm coming to you, are you ready? Chu Pulina's face turned pale as paper in an instant, and his pupils shrank. His body was stiff. As if he was nailed firmly to the spot by an invisible force, unable to move. It's over. Mountain City. Lin Xian got off the helicopter. Behind him followed Zhao Qiang, who was handcuffed and shackled. Gao Yang stood beside Zhao Qiang, looking at him coldly. I don't have time to deal with you now. Lin Xian looked at Zhao Qiang and warned, be honest, don't kill yourself. Whether you can rescue your sister depends on luck. But whether it succeeds or not, I need an answer when I come back. You should know what the answer is, right? In fact, this answer is just 3 explanations. 1. The whole process of Zhao Qiang killing those 13 people. 2. How Zhao Qiang became a soldier. 3. How Zhao Qiang confirmed that his sister was with Chu Pulina. Zhao Qiang actually smiled and nodded. Okay, I'll wait for you. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kisiun. Chapter 455. Mountain City, Suburbs. A certain villa area. It's just money. Lin Xian looked at the villa area in front of him and sneered. He sensed the danger, and even more sensed the aura of the warriors. But it doesn't make sense. This is the Dragon Kingdom, his home court, backed by the Dragon Kingdom's thigh. Kick it down and it will turn into ashes. Lin Xian walked straight to a luxurious and huge European-style villa. The door then opened. A woman dressed as a servant looked at him. Lin Xian walked into the courtyard. Walk into the villa and into the hall. An old man is sitting on the sofa, seemingly calm. Lin Xian walked closer and sat opposite the old man. Looking at the leader of the Cossack mercenary group in front of him, Chuplina. This time it's real, not a stand-in. That kind of superiority cannot be faked. Give up the struggle. As soon as Lin Xian said this, the living room fell silent for an instant. Chuplina was silent for a while and sighed. Opened the laptop on the coffee table. At this time, an international online banking platform is displayed on the computer. An account is displayed. Inside the account, there is a series of numbers, billions of euros. Chuplina turned his laptop towards the young man in front of him. But Lin Xian didn't even look at the computer. Instead, look into the old man's eyes and observe carefully. Eye pupils, expressions, and heartbeat are all under his control. The old man's eyes are particularly bright and he is always very calm. Very strange. This old man actually didn't have much fear. Do you know you won't survive, or do you have something to rely on? Aren't you afraid that I will kill you? Lin Xian's eyes deliberately flashed a cruel and violent light, looking directly into those old eyes. Ha ha. Chuplina looked into Lin Xian's eyes and said, we are all superiors, so we shouldn't act like children. What do high-ranking people like to play? There are only two words, profit. Everything else is ridiculous. Do you think I can be bribed by profit? The cruelty and violence in Lin Xian's eyes disappeared, and they were as plain as a mirror. I am not sure. Chuplina smiled calmly, but I think Dragon Kingdom should be very willing to make this deal with me. What deal? 1. Money. 2. Command power of the Cossack mercenary group. Is this something that Long Kuokyo likes? Under normal circumstances, yes. For example, many people know that Sam country cultivates some powers around the world. These forces include political figures, armed forces, institutions, and even terrorist organizations. When necessary, Sam's country can control them and do things to their advantage. For example, the leaders of Kimchi country and Sakura country are their dogs. For example, there are many terrorist organizations that are also their dogs. There are too many examples of this. Since Sam country is doing this, do you think other countries will do the same? Is it possible that the Dragon Kingdom also has many dogs? Chuplina, in order to survive, prepare to hand over the command of the Cossack mercenary group to the Dragon Kingdom. If Longuo accepts it, then any mistakes he made in the past can be erased in an instant. Otherwise, there is no such thing as Chuplina harming some women. And don't mention anything disgusting he's done in the past. Compared with national-level interests, they are all trivial matters. And under normal circumstances, faced with this kind of transaction, Ping Bei got a dog that was very good at biting people. No country will say no, right? Everyone is a superior. How could you not have this kind of overall perspective? Lin Xian remembered a case. A bastard from the Kimchi country, who trades organs in the Dragon country. In the same way, he wanted to make a deal with him. Then he thought about going abroad for the first time and playing in Swibai. There is also an old man who is ready to seduce him with money. I also want to make a deal with him. What happened to those people in the end? Lin Xian said calmly, where are those women? Chuplina's expression changed instantly. Staring at Lin Xian for a long time. A pair of eyes shone with a strange light. Lin Xian's expression was very calm, with no psychological activity visible. I couldn't guess what he was thinking. After a while, Chuplina smiled brightly, nodded, and waved his hand. A warrior-level mercenary walked up to them. He took out a key, placed it in front of Lin Xian, and gave an address. There is an underground palace within that address. A palace belonging to Chuplina alone. There are hundreds of beauties inside, beauties from all over the world. Why would an old man, a superior person, have such a hobby? Here comes the funny question. The Dragon Kingdom also had many emperors in ancient times. 90% of emperors have huge harems. Why do they have a harem? I still remember that Lin Xian had a chat with his sisters. Even a proud woman like Mu Qingjian knows that men are greedy for money and lustful. He also admitted that men are greedy for money and lustful, because this is the nature of men. As a superior, he is the leader of the Cossack mercenary group. He has the ability to be lustful and likes to play with women. Isn't this normal? Lin Xian did not look at the key, but said to the old man in front of him, let them go and send them to Shancheng Public Security Bureau. By the way, if Zhao Binglei dies, then there is no need for you to live. Instantly, Chu Pulina's eyes flashed with a glimmer of surprise. He was not afraid of Lin Xian's request. He was afraid that Lin Xian would not ask anything. Because of the request, he had the hope of living. About an hour and a half. Lin Xian's mobile phone rang, picked it up and answered it. After a while, a smile appeared on his face, looking at the old man in front of him. Chu Pulina also smiled, and the fire of hope ignited in his eyes. But this smile suddenly froze in the next second. Because Lin Xian raised his hand and waved it. A cold light flashed across Chu Pulina's neck. I am a very honest person. If I say I will chop off your head, I will definitely chop it off. Chu Pulina was stunned after hearing this. He found that his sight was moving and his visual space was shaking. Then, his sight rose, as if he was walking with someone. Then, he actually saw the sofa. He saw a headless body sitting on the sofa. The body looked very, very familiar. Chu Pulina suddenly realized. He found that it was his own body. But why was there no head? Where is my head? Darkness suddenly came. Chu Pulina lost all consciousness. A massacre also began from then on. Everyone in the villa, as long as they were alive. Lin Xian did not hold back and killed them all. When he walked out of the villa, the sky was dyed orange and golden. The sunset was also slowly sinking. Its light was soft and warm, sprinkled on the land covered with afterglow. It added a touch of soft and warm color to the cold winter. Lin Xian walked out of the villa area and got into a car. He sat next to Zhao Qiang and put a head on his lap. Now, give me an answer. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kisiun Zhong. Chapter 456. The sunset is like blood. The sky was dyed a magnificent red. Zhao Qiang's handcuffs and shackles had been lifted. Enduring the pain all over his body, he tremblingly picked up the cigarette and took a puff. How long can you live? Lin Xian looked at him. Zhao Qiang thought for a while, 30 years old. Or 35 years old. I don't know, I can't control it, I can't calculate it. Lin Xian was silent. He had already guessed where Zhao Qiang's power came from. The soldiers trained by the Dragon Kingdom have been trained in the most merciful way since they were young. In order to reduce the damage caused by soldiers gaining strength, and to extend their lives without over-squeezing them. Even so, it is difficult for those soldiers to live past the age of 50. The training process of foreign soldiers is somewhat simple and crude. Because of its simplicity and crudeness, it is rare for people to live past the age of 30. Almost no one can live beyond 35. The most ruthless first-generation warriors should be those from the Hop country. After becoming a soldier, no one lived more than 2 years on average. If you want to get something, you have to pay something. This sentence is never a joke. Zhao Qiang disappeared at the age of 19. In just 2 years, he had the combat power to crush ordinary soldiers. Just think about it, how did he obtain his power? When I was a kid, my parents were very busy. Zhao Qiang smoked a cigarette. They know how to make money every day. They often leave us siblings alone and stay with our grandparents. My grandparents don't like us very much, but because our parents gave us money, they support us. My sister became sensible very early. When she was 7 years old, she knew how to take care of me and protect me. She would also give me a bite of delicious food first. She could have gone to a better university that year, but she chose a university in the mountain city just to take care of me. That was also the year when my parents, under the pretext of doing her best, forced her to send her to study abroad, to Damao country. Then, my sister disappeared. Lin Xian did not disturb and listened quietly. Actually, your IQ has roughly guessed all the processes. Zhao Qiang smiled and said, the things you care about should be how I killed those 13 people, how I gained such powerful power, and how I knew that my sister was captured by Chuplina. I'm not tired of talking to smart people, Lin Xian nodded. In addition to Boris, the other 12 people are accomplices, helping Boris collect beautiful women. Zhao Qiang said coldly, the reason is that Chuplina is lustful and Boris pleases his father. This father and son are really disgusting, Lin Xian frowned. The process. Obeyable water. Zhao Qiang asked with a smile, you should know what it is, right? GHB, Lin Xian suddenly realized, you can't be obedient and can't be found out by autopsy. You still entered that villa, and you killed 13 people with your own hands. Right. Zhao Qiang nodded, you should have discovered that one person's fingerprints are missing, the fingerprints of a wealthy businessman. Were you pretending to be a wealthy businessman at that time? Lin Xian had a complicated expression, are you pretending to commit suicide by a really wealthy businessman and deliberately leaving clues? No wonder there are no traces of invasion. Because Zhao Qiang was the wealthy businessman at that time. He just needs to hide the really rich businessman in the villa in advance. Kill everyone, kill the really rich businessman, and escape. As for why no traces of Zhao Qiang can be found. This is a question that puts criminal investigators to shame. The answer is simple. Your IQ is not as high as anyone else. Let's use another straightforward metaphor. There are no unsolved suspense cases in this world. All because the murderer has a higher IQ than the criminal investigators. Be able to possess powerful force. Zhao Qiang sighed, in order to investigate the disappearance of my sister, I joined a Cossack mercenary group and discovered a secret of training soldiers, using stimulants to develop the body's potential, squeeze out life force, and gain powerful strength. But this way the success rate is very slim, and even if it succeeds, the person will be almost useless. Why is doping banned in sports? Because it can make the human body explode with powerful potential, this is cheating. But the biggest reason for banning doping is that it causes great damage to human vitality and potential. This is like human potential and vitality being a bottle of mineral water. If you use it a little, you'll get a little less. If you don't use it, people will die. Is this simple? So on weekdays, humans drink water in small sips. But someone developed a drug. But let humans drink it in big gulps and drink it crazily. Others can drink a bottle of mineral water for 50 or 60 years. And you can only drink it for 10 years, 5 years, or less. Even the process of drinking water was uncontrollable because I drank too much. 99% of people will choke to death from water. This is the process of using drugs to build warriors. Most countries no longer use it. Why? Is 100 people powerful? Or is it the strength of a soldier? Therefore, there must be soldiers, but there will never be many, and the gain outweighs the loss. As for how you know that my sister was captured by Chuplina, Zhaoqiang said coldly, Veritasirum, the Cossack mercenary group has this kind of thing. Boris is just a young master. He has not experienced special training and cannot fight against Veritasirum. I got what I want to know. But Boris didn't know where his father Chuplina hid the women. I started to plan, using the death of those 13 people and the death of Boris to lure Chuplina out. I know he has many substitutes, and I know that I am not strong enough alone, so I need to borrow the power of our dragon country. I have also calculated that it will inevitably lead to some powerful people, but I didn't expect to lead to one. Zhaoqiang looked at Lin Xian, God. He used to think that he had obtained powerful military force, and with his IQ, he was basically fearless of anyone. Who knew? Even now, he is still an ant in front of Lin Xian. There are even many people who are stronger than him. For example, Gao Yang from the Special Operations Department. Just pointing to military force can also hang him up and beat him. The strength of Dragon Country not only makes Zhaoqiang afraid, but more is excitement, and pride. Who doesn't want to have an extremely powerful motherland? Lin Xian led Zhaoqiang to a place. When the brother and sister met, they hugged each other and cried. But Lin Xian found Zhaoqiang at this moment no longer a genius, no longer tyrannical. Just a child in front of a sister. Mountain City, execution ground. After a gunshot, a figure tied up fell down. Lin Xian looked at the body and said calmly, from today on, there is one less Zhaoqiang in the world, and one more new name, Zhaoguo, the country of Dragon Country. Your life now belongs to the country. Turning around slowly, he looked at the young man in front of him. Zhaoqiang, no, Zhaoguo. His body trembled violently. But his eyes were deep and pure, and he nodded vigorously. Thank you. Special Operations Department, Minister's Office. Why do you do this? Yu Lao's cold eyes and expression seemed like an iceberg that had not melted for thousands of years. Because I like the profession of police. Lin Xian looked indifferent. One day when I am no longer a policeman, I want to leave someone behind and let him continue to be a policeman like me. Yu Lao sighed, and two words emerged in his mind. Inheritance. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kisiun Zhong. Chapter 457. Beijing. The 15th day of the first lunar month, Lantern Festival. The lights are on, and the whole city is bright. The streets and alleys are crowded with people, and laughter and joy are heard one after another. Fireworks bloom in the night sky, colorful and dazzling. Lin family. Lin Dong and Lu Yunking's faces, which were originally gloomy, were coaxed by the Mu sisters. No wonder the couple was angry. The Lantern Festival, which means reunion, symbolizes the reunion of the whole family. Even if he is busy, a son should go home on this day, right? Lu Yunqing couldn't understand, so he was very angry. Lin Dong pretended to be angry and coaxed his wife. After all, the father-son relationship is very good, and he knows what his son is doing. In the whole family, only Lu Yunqing doesn't know that his son is now in a high position. He is fighting violence and protecting the country all day long. Other parents may hope that their children will bring honor to their ancestors. Lu Yunqing just wants his son to be safe and sound. So the whole family didn't dare to tell her about Lin Xian's current job. Everyone also thought that Lu Yunqing only knew that Lin Xian was a policeman. But, did she really not know? After all, he was her son, the flesh that fell from her body. Eat, don't wait for him. Lu Yunqing was like an old Buddha, giving orders. Ha. Lin Dong and the little sister laughed and coaxed the old Buddha. Just as the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law went to cook glutinous rice balls and fry yuan xiao. Suddenly, there was a sound of unlocking the door of the entrance. In an instant, the eyes of the family lit up. The door was slowly opened. A tall figure in a windbreaker walked into the house with a sunny smile. Stinky baby is back. Mu Qingtian cheered and jumped up with a flash of surprise in her eyes. Lin Xian had a doting look on his face and caught his pendant fairy. With eyes full of gentle smiles, he looked at another goddess. Mu Qingjian's beautiful eyes became bright and full of gentleness like water. Came over and held his brother's hand. Lin Xian's eyes moved and looked at his parents. Their eyes were filled with warmth and kindness. As if saying, I'm back, waiting for you. The whole room was filled with warmth and warmth. Parents are healthy, wife and daughter are gentle, and the unattainable things become reality. Isn't this a man's lifelong pursuit and dream? Lin Xian curved his eyes and curled his lips. His smile also changed at this moment. Like fireworks, like the scorching sun. I'm back. 11 o'clock in the evening. The three siblings who spent the holiday with their parents returned to their nest. Puff, puff. Mu Qingtian sat on Lin Xian's legs, hugged him and sucked all kinds of things. Are you sucking cats? Lin Xian laughed and scolded, his palm on Mu Qingjian's leg. The goddess was peeling grapes and handing them to her brother to eat. I miss you. Mu Qingtian was so happy that her eyes curved into crescents. She hummed, do you miss your sister? No. Lin Xian commented with the eyes of a theorist, you are too pretentious. Sister Qingjian is better. He also looked at Mu Qingjian with a squinting look. You are annoying. Mu Qingtian punched his brother twice, and said angrily, if your sister Qingjian and I fell into the water at the same time, who would you save first? Can you not play the game of life-threatening questions? Lin Xian had a look on his face, are you all wearing bikinis? Mu Qingtian. Mu Qingjian. Lin Xian. The best way to deal with women's life-threatening questions is not to follow their rhythm. You have to disrupt their rhythm, or you will die. You pervert, does it matter whether you wear a bikini or not? Mu Qingtian hugged her brother's neck and twisted her butt to act coquettishly, just tell me who you will save first. Hee, I also have my own style, and I love and hate clearly. Lin Xian was complacent, I won't save those who don't wear bikinis. Bikini, I can't save them without them, right? Then if you only save bikinis, ba ba ba. Mu Qingtian was led astray and spit on her brother's face. Mu Qingjian, who was standing aside, covered her face silently, holding back her laughter. Stinky baby. Mu Qingtian took out the routine of acting coquettishly and cute again, hugging her brother and mumbling, then I'll ask you again. Don't ask, if I ask, it means I loved you. Lin Xian had a bitter and vengeful expression, I can't live with my ex-girlfriend, best friend, and all kinds of women. Ha. The two sisters laughed so hard that their bodies rustled. Look at what the children have become. Poor man. Stinky baby is so nice. Mu Qingtian gave him a big kiss. What a fart. Lin Xian was broken inside, begging for mercy, don't ask me questions that will kill me, okay? No. Mu Qingtian pouted her lips, ask me another one. Can I ask one instead? Lin Xian was ready to fight back, trying to win back the game for the man. Mu Qingjian peeled the grapes and stuffed the flesh into her brother's mouth. She also wanted to see how the rebellious son would trick his sister. Then ask, Who told you not to ask? Mu Qingtian put on a flattering smile and winked. You will definitely not bully your sister, right? He. Lin Xian had seen many of his sister's beauty tricks, so he didn't fall for it. Let me ask you, what did you do after the college entrance examination? This. Mu Qingtian pouted, pretending to be a small bully, but her peach blossom eyes were rolling around. She felt that Lin Xian was using a trick, but she found that she had never seen this trick before. Go ahead. Lin Xian laughed. I never saw you afraid when facing my weapons, but now you are afraid. Pa, who is afraid of your small weapons? Mu Qingtian blushed and spat. Of course you have a holiday after the college entrance examination. Waiting to go to college, what else can you do? Really? Lin Xian deliberately imitated Mu Qingtian's coquettish voice, like a tea art master. I really envy my sister, unlike others who were just in the 6th grade at that time and were still doing summer homework. By the way, sister, do you know what it means to be an old cow eating tender grass? Mu Qingtian. Mu Qingjian. Is this bastard saying that they are 6 years older than him? No summer homework for the 6th grade. Mu Qingjian's eyes flashed coldly. But you can have a big pussy. Mu Qingtian bared her little tiger teeth and raised her fist. Do you want it? Don't be like this, we are civilized people. Facing the unfriendly eyes of the two sisters, Lin Xian immediately became timid. You are all little fairies, how can you bully your brother? It is 2017 now, they must not know what little fairies are. The sisters sneered. They don't know what little fairies are. But they know that a dog's mouth can't spit out good ivory. Beat him. Mu Qingtian rushed up and pressed Lin Xian on the sofa. Mu Qingjian also stood up, raised her little feet, and stepped on her brother's face in various ways. It's very comfortable. Enough of fighting and making trouble. Lin Xian picked up his two sisters and walked towards the bathroom. The night is still long. They can still do something more meaningful. Lin Xian always believes. Sooner or later, Xiao Qian and Xiao Bei will become Xiao Guai. He will reach places where the sun cannot reach. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kisiun Zhong. Chapter 458. I have a little donkey that I ride all the time. Mu Qingtian's long legs were wrapped around Lin Xian's waist. Not only did she let Lin Xian carry her, she also patted her brother on the head. Drive, little donkey, run quickly. This is a typical woman who heals her scars and forgets the pain. I have long forgotten how I was dealt with by my brother on weekdays. Once Lin Xian enters the state that Mu Qingtian could only call him Flax. He walked into the bedroom and turned around. Lin Xian threw the little vixen on the bed and threatened, I'll show you the donkey's weapons soon. Then come. Mu Qing's sweet peach blossom eyes were very provocative. She raised her little hand and hooked her fingers. I'm so scared, ah. While screaming, Lin Xian pounced on the sheep like a hungry tiger. Press her down on the bed and tickle her. Mu Qingtian screamed, laughed, and rolled on the bed begging for mercy. Hey, let my sister go. The little vixen turned into a charming and naive person in an instant, and the little bird snorted in Lin Xian's arms. I'm very good at playing tricks on my younger brother. Don't be fooled, Lin Xian thought so in his heart, but his body had its own ideas. Holding the little fairy in his arms, kissing her pink face, the two siblings cuddled against each other. Seeing that Lin Xian was being honest, Mu Qingtian reached out to pick up her brother's ears, feeling jealous. Tell me, do you like your sister Qingjian more? Bang, Lin Xian slapped her on the buttocks. I'll beat you to death if I do it again. But he beat Mu Qingtian till she moaned and covered her buttocks. His eyes flickered, and he said shyly, hit me again. Damn it, Lin Xian is convinced. If you beat another girl, she will cry. Mu Qingtian gets excited when you beat her up. It's really perverted. But Lin Xian himself is also a pervert. As the old saying goes, two kinds of people can't sleep on the same bed. Smelly treasure, if you meet us for the first time. Mu Qingtian drew circles on her younger brother's abdominal muscles with her little hands. Which one of us would you prefer to throw yourself into your arms first? Lin Xian said deliberately, it's not you anyway. You are a dog. Mu Qingtian patted his belly and said angrily, will you die if you lie to others? Ha ha. Lin Xian snickered, I lied, you're not dead. Ah. Mu Qingtian was stunned for a moment, her eyes became moist and charming, soft and seductive. Who did you learn this from? Don't you like it a lot? Lin Xian changed the subject wittily, Tian Tian just says he misses me, and he doesn't care how much you think about me. Ah. Mu Qing smiled sweetly and raised her lips, I lost weight because I missed you. I do not believe. Lin Xian hugged her and walked out of bed, walking towards the scale not far away, I want to check it myself. Ah, no. Mu Qing smiled sweetly and screamed, don't weigh yourself. Strange to say. My girlfriend never lets her boyfriend see her weight. Mu Qingtian is like this, and Mu Qingjian is like this too. When she came to the scale, Lin Xian deliberately put her on it. Mu Qingtian hugged him like an octopus and couldn't get down, howling and yelling. What are you pretending to be? Lin Xian was disdainful, put her aside, and stepped on it himself. 162 pounds. Lin Xian was stunned for a moment. Logically speaking, for a height of 185 centimeters, 162 pounds is actually quite normal. Wear clothes to look thin, take off clothes to look fat. However, after meeting the Mu sisters, he actually gained weight. Haha, you are the fat guy. Mu Qingtian looked at the scale and winked at him. I used to be very thin. Lin Xian pouted and hugged her back to the bed. How long ago? Mu Qingtian narrowed her eyes sparkling. Just before I met you. Lin Xian thought for a while, about 140 to 145. Hee. Mu Qingtian started acting like a monster again, her eyes filled with resentment, this is all thanks to your sister Qingjian, who prepares delicious food for you every day. Jealous. Lin Xian snickered, actually, you can be jealous. After all, I'm more handsome when I'm thinner. Shameless. Mu Qingtian pretended to be disdainful and pouted, actually, it's good to be a little fatter. How's that? Lin Xian hugged the little goblin with an impeccable smile, is the place that should be bigger getting bigger? Haha. Mu Qing smiled sweetly and hit him, smelly treasure, your sister can't stand the speed of your car. You have to explain clearly what you can't bear. Lin Xian pinched her little face, then do you like me to be fatter? Of course I do. Mu Qingtian looked at her brother infatuatedly, if you are fatter, won't I be able to have you more? Lin Xian was stunned and stared at her blankly. Suddenly he picked her up and let her lie down. He buried his face in her arms. Ha ha. Mu Qing's sweet laughter became charming and alluring, and the smile on her cheeks also turned into a charming one. Hugging him, gently stroking his head, my child, what's wrong? It's okay. Lin Xian took a cup of facial cleanser and sighed. Mu Qingtian's smile became even more charming, and her peach blossom eyes looked a bit enchanting. She was thinking, how did she fall in love with him? Possible. It's that his style of painting is different from other men. His romance is very direct. His taste is very unique. His hobbies are very straight. At that time, his mind was full of criminal investigation, solving cases, fighting and killing. Apart from these, he seemed to care nothing. I still remember that the first time Lin Xian gave her and her sister a gift, it was 2 sets of jerseys. Who has ever seen a girl given jerseys? He also said to them, the boyfriend's jersey is the most beautiful dress for girls. That was also the first time they wore boys' basketball jerseys and tied their ponytails. It was really beautiful and very good looking. Slowly, she found that being direct was actually good. His taste also became her taste. Even his hobbies seemed to be no longer straight. He would bring snacks to her and flowers to his sister. He began to say sweet words and liked driving with them more. Mu Qingtian looked at him in her arms, and the smile on her face changed again. All the charm, coquettishness, pure desire, disappeared. His eyes were as gentle as water, revealing a calm elegance. Like the stars in the night sky, shining with a mysterious and charming luster. Like a queen. Mu Qingtian lowered her head and kissed his forehead. Why don't you expose me? Why do you want to expose me? Lin Xian murmured, Sister Qingjian likes to be a little mother, I like to be an old father, and you like to pretend to be a child. Isn't this just right for a family? It's good. Mu Qingtian's eyes turned into peach blossom eyes again, and she glared at him with spring water rippling, and said charmingly, You dog, you are the smartest one, we owed you in the last life. Hee hee. Lin Xian laughed, it's better to owe me in the next life, I haven't liked you enough. Okay, Mu Qingtian smiled silently and closed her eyes. Then bless us in the next life. Born free, love fearlessly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kisiun. Chapter 459. On February 2nd, the dragon raises its head. I don't know if the dragon raises its head, but today is Saturday. Zhan Xiaoyang came to the courtyard early in the morning to report. When he saw the Mu sisters offering tea and snacks, he immediately nodded and bowed, Hello, sister-in-law. Logically, he should call her sister-in-law, because he is older than Lin Xian. But if it follows the rules of the police and the army, it is normal to call her sister-in-law. Lin Xian looked at this little funny guy, are you nervous? The Mu sisters were also looking at Zhan Xiaoyang with a smile. Because today, they are going to take Zhan Xiaoyang to a blind date. Whether it will work depends on him. For love, you have to be in love. Not nervous. Zhan Xiaoyang was serious, but his hand holding the teacup was shaking a little. The three siblings smiled and shook their heads. After chatting for a while, it was almost 10 o'clock in the morning. Lin Xian drove his two sisters and Zhan Xiaoyang to a restaurant. Liuquanju. It can be considered as a time-honored restaurant. Why come here? Doesn't Lin Xian dislike showing off? There is no way, he has to come. Because this restaurant is for the girl who Zhan Xiaoyang had a blind date with. Park the car. The four looked at the restaurant in front of them. The ancient two-story building, like a flowing ink painting, stood quietly in the bustling city. Walked into the gate. A woman wearing a winter cheongsam came over elegantly and dignifiedly. There was a faint smile on her face, revealing the demeanor and charm of a mature woman. Seeing her, Lin Xian was a little surprised. Because he found that this woman was not very beautiful, but she was really very elegant. Under the cheongsam, her graceful curves were outlined, showing the charm of a mature woman. It was also the first time I saw a woman wearing a cheongsam with a noble and calm feeling. Xiao Yat. The Mu sisters smiled and held hands with the woman. At first glance, they were not the kind of plastic sisters. The relationship is very good. Zhan Xiaoyang, who was standing next to him, had already been stunned, standing there staring at the other person. Lin Xian almost wanted to help him cover his face. The group went to a private room full of charm. It was as if they were in an elegant space isolated from the world. After everyone sat down, Suyat. Mu Qingjian introduced the sisters to Lin Xian and Zhan Xiaoyang. Hello. Lin Xian smiled with a sunny face. I am Lin Xian. I have heard Qinjian and Qingtian mention you a long time ago, and I have also seen your photos in the circle of friends. Suya's voice was slow, with a taste of a talented woman in the old times. I am more handsome in person. Thank you for the compliment, but you can't have any ideas about me. Lin Xian deliberately joked, my sister won't beat you, but she will beat me to death. Haha. The three women were amused by him, and the atmosphere was instantly lively. This is the art of speaking. Say what you want to say in what occasion. A man always puts on airs, faces stiffly, and pretends to be cool in front of women. Very embarrassing. His name is Zhan Xiaoyang. Lin Xian pointed at Zhan Xiaoyang. Sister Ya, don't look at him as serious now, I tell you, don't be fooled by his appearance. Zhan Xiaoyang. No, can you be a human being? My image. The three women laughed again. Suya also looked at Zhan Xiaoyang and nodded. But in her eyes, Zhan Xiaoyang is too ordinary, so ordinary that he has no characteristics. Even, he is younger than her. He looks like he is about 25 or 26 years old. And she is already 28. Everyone is an adult, and they know what happened today. However, she didn't seem to feel anything, and shook her head slightly in her heart. Who knew? Hello, Sister Yat. Zhan Xiaoyang stood up stupidly and wanted to shake hands with Su Yat. Puff, Lin Xian and the Muse sisters burst into laughter. Is he sick? What do you mean by calling your blind date sister? Suya was also confused by Zhan Xiaoyang's sister. When she came back to her senses, the corners of her mouth twitched uncontrollably. She looked at the silly Zhan Xiaoyang again. She found a flash of intelligence in his eyes. Is he playing dumb? Suya raised the corners of her mouth. It's a bit interesting. Some people say, humor is the best medical beauty for men. This is not a joke. Girls are sometimes emotional, but if you can make her laugh and make her happy often, they don't have to look at the face. Suya stood up, held Zhan Xiaoyang's hand, and blinked. Hello, brother. Haha. The three siblings burst into laughter again. This pair has a chance. Zhan Xiaoyang blushed. Sister, what do you want to eat? I'll treat you today. The three siblings hugged each other and laughed. You are in someone else's restaurant and said you want to treat them? Absolutely. Suya could no longer control the smile on her face. Okay, you pay the bill later. Zhan Xiaoyang was stunned. I'm just talking, isn't this yours? The three siblings and Suya were all stunned, staring at Zhan Xiaoyang in astonishment. How did he say such a low-key thing? I mean. Zhan Xiaoyang rubbed his hands. I think you've had enough of your food, I want to treat you to something delicious. Awesome, Lin Xian was surprised. There's something about this contrast. He's just trying to treat people to a meal. If the invitation is successful, then it's a humming date. The Muse sisters were also looking at Zhan Xiaoyang, with complicated eyes. I used to think he was just a funny guy. But now, how could a computer genius be a fool? Suya came back to her senses, looked at Zhan Xiaoyang for a while, and asked, what if it doesn't taste good? Zhan Xiaoyang patted his chest and guaranteed. If it doesn't taste good, I'm a dog. Outside a snack bar, the expressions of the three siblings and Suya became strange. Originally they thought it was a good place. That's it? Let's go, it's guaranteed to be delicious. Zhan Xiaoyang smiled and looked at everyone, and finally looked at Suya, no lie. Suya looked at him in a daze, nodded, and walked into the snack bar first. The result was unexpected by anyone. Xiaoyang, why are you back? A woman who was serving food to diners saw Zhan Xiaoyang with a look of surprise and kindness. Mom, I'm bringing my colleagues over for dinner. Zhan Xiaoyang walked over and hugged the woman. Where's my dad? He's cooking in the kitchen. The woman looked at Lin Xian and the others and was stunned. A group of handsome men and beautiful women, who wouldn't be confused? Lin Xian and the others were also confused. I never thought that Zhang Shaiyang's family ran a snack bar. Although a little embarrassed, everyone smiled and greeted. The one with the most complicated expression was Suyat. She looked at Zhang Xiaoyang as if she was looking at a madman. But her heart was pounding and she felt inexplicably flustered. You know, she hasn't felt so flustered for many years. The clown turned out to be me. Lin Xian secretly gave Zhang Xiaoyang a thumbs up. If humor is the best medical beauty for men, then sincerity is indeed a man's killer move. My brother is awesome. It turns out that Zhang Xiaoyang was not bragging when he said he could be a sea king. Solving the case is a little bitter, but my sister is super sweet. Author, Kisiun Zhong. Chapter 460. Zhang Xiaoyang didn't lie. The simple stir-fries and soups in front of me are indeed delicious. It's obviously a snack bar, but it tastes like home. This is also a meal made with great care by Zhang Shaiyang's father. Suya took a few bites and was stunned. After a while, she looked at Zhang Xiaoyang, who was serving her dishes. He didn't lie. Lin Xian and the Mu sisters found that they were a little brighter. Because it turned into an eyesore light bulb. The three siblings were all looking at a man and a woman picking up food and eating. They didn't look at each other, as if they didn't dare to look at each other. But the more this happens, the more interesting it is. The three siblings exchanged glances and stood up. Let's go, it's boring, let's go home. Regardless of Zhang Xiaoyang and Suya's attempts to stay, the three siblings left space for them. On the way home, they happily strolled on the road. Sometimes happy people like to see the people around them happy. It's wired. Mu Qingtian held her hand. Didn't you say that he has never forgotten that classmate? Mu Qingjian also looked at her brother curiously. Lin Xian told them Zhang Shaiyang's story in the past. I also know that Zhang Xiaoyang attended the wedding of the female classmate he had a crush on. How could I forget so quickly? Lin Xian smiled and said, I taught him a way. The two women were even more curious, stopped and looked at him. The solution is very simple. Lin Xian said in a calm tone, one day Zhang Shaiyang's hand was injured, and he had a band-aid on it. He always looked at it when nothing was wrong. I asked him, what are you looking at? He said, my hand is broken, let's see if there are scabs. That day we were practicing shooting. Zhang Xiaoyang was practicing, and then he looked at his hands. I asked him what he was doing. This guy told me that the injured area was a little itchy, so he couldn't help but go check it out. As a result, at night Zhang Xiaoyang took the band-aid off the wound and it started bleeding again. Lin Xian sighed, I couldn't stand it anymore, so I scolded him. What did you scold him for? Mu Qingjian asked with a smile. I said, why are you always looking at it when you have nothing to do? Does it make it feel less painful, or does it make you feel better? Lin Xian smiled and said, I put a band-aid on him and warned him not to look at it during this period. He asked me, what should I do if I can't help it? I said, if you can't help it, you have to endure it, otherwise, your injury will never heal. There is no word about love, but every word is love. Human beings are very sad. Likes to lick wounds, like to press bruises, and like to look at scars. Reliving certain moments over and over again. But this won't work. If you want to move forward, don't look back. Otherwise, it will really hurt. And after. Mu Qingtian leaned in Xiao Beo's arms with a smile in her eyes. Later, Zhang Xiaoyang obeyed and held back. Lin Xian sighed and laughed, I never looked at it again, and then I changed, and I knew I could move forward. Mu Qingjian's beautiful eyes became warm, she held his hand and said in a clear and elegant tone, very good. What about us? Mu Qingtian wanted to play devil's advocate and asked angrily, what if we break up too? He he. Lin Xian sneered, which hand? I'll chop it off for you. You bitch, how can you be so cruel? Mu Qingtian went crazy and started beating her brother. But Lin Xian touched his buttocks twice. The two siblings ran wildly on the street and had fun, fighting like two kids. The corners of Mu Qingtian's mouth curved slightly, showing satisfaction. Her eyes sparkled with tenderness as she watched them play. Result: these two bitches ran back, one with each hand, and touched her buttocks. He ran away while laughing. Mu Qingtian gritted her teeth angrily and chased after them. The laughter of the three siblings echoed on the street. Laughter came and went, and their eyes were full of love and sweetness for each other. Become the most beautiful scenery on this street. Ministry of Public Security. Special Criminal Case Task Force. All team members changed into police uniforms, awaiting their new colleagues. When two tall figures walked into the office hall, everyone's expressions were suddenly stunned. They all looked at the young man wearing a school police uniform in confusion. Introduce yourself. Lin Xian looked at the young man beside him. Hello everyone, my name is Zhao Qiang, Zhao Guo. Zhao Guo looked at the team members and slowly raised his hand. He performed a military salute that was not very standard. The team members were still dumbfounded, looking at him. Especially Guo Su, the gun king who came out of the army. When looking at Zhao Guo, all the muscles in his body were tense, heart beating wildly. He recalled the memory of meeting Lin Xian for the first time. At that time, he felt the same way now. It's like encountering a ferocious beast. No. I saw a monster. Guo Su knew it very well. If the Zhao kingdom went berserk, Lin Xian would not be here. The entire Special Criminal Case Task Force can be razed to the ground in minutes, leaving no chickens or dogs behind. Because this is a warrior. Top warrior. From today on, he is our colleague. Lin Xian didn't talk nonsense and looked at Wang Mang. Brother Wang, come and take him, is that okay? Follow his ideas. It is not difficult for a genius to learn criminal investigation. His IQ is there, he is good at calculation, layout, and scheming. As long as he comes into contact with a few cases, he should be able to get started. What's more, with Zhao Guo, there will be places where force will be used in the future. As long as the opponent is not a combat soldier, or a small number of combat soldiers, Zhao Guo can also crush it all the way, no problem. Lin Xian is very satisfied with such a successor. It is also the last thing he can leave to the police force. Inheritance. The reason why Zhao Guo was brought here now. Because during this period, Zhao Guo was detained in the Special Operations Department. After a comprehensive investigation and understanding, it was finally confirmed that Zhao Guo had no problems and would not betray the country. What's more, Zhao Guo's parents and sister were all under control. There were too many constraints. Only then did he dare to use him with confidence. No problem. Wang Meng came back to his senses and nodded. He was very familiar with the master leading the apprentice. Thinking back to when he led Lin Xian, don't mention it. It was embarrassing, he also had to save face. At this time, Wang Meng's eyes looking at Zhao Guo also became fiery. The other team members were the same. Because they knew why Lin Xian brought Zhao Guo. They also knew that their team leader would leave sooner or later. This is good. They are really satisfied after following Lin Xian for so long. Minister's office. Lin Xian and the old man sat on the sofa and looked at each other. Leaving soon. The old man smiled and picked up the teapot and poured tea for Lin Xian himself. It should be soon, but not so soon. Lin Xian comforted himself, probably after I get married. Get married? The old man looked strange. Do you know the news? No news. Lin Xian grinned, but I can feel it soon. It should be the day he officially took over the work of the special department. It was also his wedding day.